Welcome to the It's Your Fate podcast. Conversations to guide your steps and light your path in deciding your definite major purpose. I'm your host, Lefford Fate. Hello, this is Lefford Fate, and in this series of 17 podcast episodes, which is hosted by my good friend and colleague Mike Saunders, you're going to learn about the principles to a positive mental attitude.
Well, welcome back, guys. Today we have with us Napoleon Hill certified leader Lefford Fate talking about Principle 12, which is teamwork. Lefford, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here, Mike.
You know, I feel like the word teamwork is, in a sense, self-explanatory, but I also know that that's where you get into trouble if you think, oh, yeah, I've got that one. So give us a little bit of background on leadership or teamwork and why this principle is relevant for today.
Well, bottom line, I think teamwork makes the dream work.
Uh-huh.
And in my favorite book, there's a passage that says, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves, and a cord of three strands is not easily broken. Some of you may figure out where I got that from.
Yes.
But one of the things I learned by being in the military is that I cannot do it alone, and that your team is what's going to help you win in anything. I've deployed on a number of occasions, been out there in the battlefield, have been deployed in remote locations, and the people around me, my team, is what helped me survive when times got hard. So I think with the right team, you can do anything that you want to do. And with the wrong team, it can make your life miserable. So I think teamwork is extremely important in everything that we do.
You know, when you're describing team in your sense with the military, we also can think of it in sports analogy. There's teams there. We can think of it in business. There's business teams that you work in to accomplish a project. What about someone's personal life? If you're not in the military, part of a sports team or in a business team, teamwork is still very important. So what would you say to someone in selecting and picking and gathering, number one, a team, but number two, the right team?
Well, I think it's the same thing. It could be family. It can be friends. It can be many things when you talk about teamwork. Somebody that you're working with to get a job done, that you're coming together with a definite goal that you're working for. That's kind of how I look at it. It doesn't have to be just this or that. It can be anything where two people or more are getting together to accomplish any particular mission. For me, and when you talk about a misconception that I have on that whole process is that many people today think that, again, they could do it all by themselves. Or they think that if you're on a team, you can actually hide and somebody else can do the stuff that you don't want to do, right?
Yeah.
So I think that for me, teamwork is that every person that's on that team learns to do their particular job well. I think the best teamwork anthem is actually the Pledge of Allegiance. It starts with I and ends with all. I heard a speech years ago by Jim Rohn that talks about the Pledge of Allegiance. Starts with I and ends with all. It takes all of us to make a country, each individual person. So for one, all's made for and all together for that one person. And so to me, each person has to be willing to do their job, to carry their own load, but realize that they got people on their team that can help them when they have to take a knee.
You know, you mentioned misconception, and I wonder if this would be one, or have you heard this before? I'm sure you've seen this as well. You think about even teams in business or even academics, where it's like, hey, you're taking this class, work together as a team or a group to do this project. Don't you feel like the misconception is, oh yeah, I've got my team, but they either consciously or subconsciously are going, I'm going to do the minimal possible because all these other people are doing all these things. I'm just going to coast and let everyone else take the lead, and I'm gonna reap the benefits of everyone else doing all this work, and I'm not gonna do all that much. Do you find that happening, whether it's the person consciously doing it or just experiencing some other person on that team that is exemplifying those traits?
Mike, did you go to grad school with me by chance?
Not with you, but
it seems like most of the projects that I was on, you had some people that were going to do just the bare minimum. Some people weren't going to do anything, and some people wanted to run the whole show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I see that a great deal. And sometimes I see people that want to do, but they're not confident in themselves, so they don't do. And some people that just don't trust other people, and they want to run the whole show. So I've seen all of those different outcomes. But what I recognized was that that's just the normal process of the teamwork process. You take group dynamics. So you still, as an individual, need to do your part. I think everybody needs to do their part. Now, one of the things that I think and I'm not even going to call it a misconception, I'm going to call it a mistake. I think a lot of people, when they're putting their team together, Mike, they put together people that are just like them, that sees things like them, think like them, and all that. And I think that's a huge mistake. I think that you must have the same end goal. But if everybody thinks the same way, that can get you into groupthink, and somebody's not going to see the roadblocks or those blind spots. You got to have somebody that can see a little bit different, even though you're working for the same goal.
That's a really, really good point. And you actually, if you take a step back, I feel that you need to know a little bit about yourself in assembling your team so that you can see maybe where you've got some lack or gaps, and then you can then seek to find someone to bring onto your team that could fill those. And I'm thinking right now just on the personal side, because you might need to assemble a team, and like you said, it doesn't need to be 14 people, it could be 2. You and one other person, you and 2 other people. But you might have a team that you have have your little inner circle team for finances, for health, for spiritual, for, those kinds of activities. And maybe those are the people you go to get kind of guidance. So do you feel that that is a really aggressive ask, is to say that someone needs to find someone on their personal team, their advisory team, that would complement their weakness with the other person's strength?
It may sound aggressive, but I think that's 100% what you want to do. You need to pick your team based on your desired outcome. That's one of when you talk about the 5 things that I say, fate 5 things to do, that's decide what you want and then make a decision on who joins that team. It's just like this. I mean, I'm a basketball player and I like winning. Now, I'm 6'2" and some change. If I really want to win the game, I'll need a good 7-footer. Yeah. I'll need maybe some 5'8" to 6'2" that can run the ball and shoot and all that. But I'm not just going to go grab, 5 Shaquille O'Neal. I need somebody else to fill different roles. Where I'm weak, somebody else is strong. That's how you build your team. So I think that makes 100%. And one of the things that I think, Mike, that people make a mistake on, they don't want to hurt people's feelings, so they'll have somebody on their team that's not the right fit.
Yeah.
Now, you can't choose your family, so that's not the team that you want to go, I'm going to trade you in for a newer model. But for business and for family, for friends and all that stuff, if you're putting together something, you need the right people on your team, and you need to be courageous enough to figure out who that is and to ask people what they bring to the table.
And we keep saying the word team, and that's accurate. But I want to go just one little level deeper because this principle is called teamwork. And I think that a lot of people focus, they focus on the first part of that word team, and they kind of like let the work part just, not so much. But maybe it needs to be team work with work in all caps.
All caps.
Because everybody has to work to make it work.
Out. Exactly. And I'm 100% there because, again, think about it. We want a bunch of people on our team but because we want to party and have fun. But the work part is what gets things done.
Yeah.
So who can do this particular thing well? Who is the person that's most qualified to get it done? And those are the people that you put on that work, and they're the people that will do the work. Because, you got some people that are really, really smart, but they don't have the technical competence to do something. So you might have to get that person that's the idea person, but you may also have to have those people that actually go out there and put the rubber to the road.
And work,
so I think that is huge.
Work could be like in a business team work setting, actual work. But think about it. I'm wondering if I think about it in the realm of like you're building your personal team, and I've got a couple people that I rely on for mentorship and advice in whatever area, health, finances. Sometimes the work is not necessarily work where they're going to do work for you. Sometimes the work is just being there and being accountable, being supportive, showing up for a coffee meeting, sending a text here and there. And it's not backbreaking work. It's just the work of being engaged.
Right. I mean, because think about it. Teamwork in a family is not necessarily doing the actual physical labor stuff. My wife and I and the kid, we all had things that we're gifted at and the things that we can do, but we all got to put in there and get stuff done. Nobody should feel like they're just a hangers-on or somebody just feels like they're doing all the work, because that causes problems and friction in that teamwork or that family unit. So everybody's got to be able to do their part, and that part needs to be defined. Many times I think that we get ourselves in trouble is we have expectations that we've not articulated.
Yeah.
I think you should be doing this, but I think I should be doing something else. Those are the things that get families and teams in a lot of trouble.
You mentioned a few of the successes and wins that you've experienced in teamwork in your own life. And I know that as a Napoleon Hill certified coach and leader, you work with clients. Can you think of an example how someone you've worked with that has maybe not seen the clear picture of teamwork, and then once you've kind of helped coach them and guide them through that, they've seen some breakthroughs?
Right. Well, this came about in 2012 when I first, not 2012, 2014, I went to work for the Department of Correction, and the first thing that came on my desk was we had a hostile work environment, discrimination complaint on one facility where there were about 15 nurses, social workers, the doctors, admin people, that it was a terrible environment. And they were a team that wasn't playing well together. They weren't working well together. And one of the things that happens in a prison setting, Mike, is if there is discord, it can be dangerous and it can cost people their lives.
Mm.
And we were at the point where we were going to fire a bunch of people. We were going to have to bring in other consultants to make it happen. And so what we did was we started teamwork training, actually how to be a team member. This is one of the things that I found that is maybe very surprising to you. The average person, unless they played some type of sport, was not taught how to be a good teammate. So we actually started from the beginning and had discussions on what does teamwork look like, what's your responsibility to the team, who are you responsible to, and who are you responsible for, because there's a difference. Mm-hmm. You're responsible to do something, to give your best, to work hard, to be a part, but you're responsible for yourself. So there's different things. And so we actually did exercises and taught people and discussed, and turning around a group of people that were going to be disbanded, people were going to lose their job, to being one of the most highly functioning teams in South Carolina Department of Corrections. I had 640 people on staff, and this was the worst of the worst, and they ended up becoming the best of the best because they actually learned and they decided. Because the beautiful part about it is, because you know the deal, you can accept the training or you could just like whitewash it. These people actually decided that they were going to be on the team and they were going to be good teammates and they were going to work to get through this thing. So to me, that was amazing, because it's really good to share, but it's really great when the people that you share with take that on as their mission and go out there and put it in and become a winning team.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so we've been talking about teamwork and why it's important, and working and getting the strengths and weaknesses aligned, and that sounds wonderful. But let's wrap up with, what do you recommend an implementation and action plan would be?
Okay, so I have a program out there called For Real, and so I'm going to use For Real to talk about teamwork, and I'll just call it Teamwork for Real. The first thing, the PH, is philosophy. What is your philosophy about your team? You have to decide what the team means to you. Is it the goal or the role? Is the goal of the team more important than your particular role, or is your role more important than the goal? You have to make that decision. So determine your philosophy. Relationship. Relationship is the next part. Develop your relationships, because relationships matter. You have to get to know the people that you're working with on your team, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what their likes and what their don't likes. If you can figure out and develop great relationships, then your team is going to be better. The E part of that is you have to equip yourself. Everybody on the team must be equipped to do their particular job the best. And when they do that job the best individually, then they can support the rest of the team. So you have to equip yourself, and then you got to equip your teammates, not only in the individual task, but as the team. The next is the right positive attitude. We talked about positive mental attitude. Believe in the team, believe that they can, and think. You got to think, say, what am I going to do to have the best attitude to go out there to win? Because you could think positively and you could think negatively. If you think positive with a positive mental attitude, you'll get things done. If you think negative, you won't get things done. The last part of this thing is you got to lead the team well. Every member of that team has to lead. And the first person that you're responsible to lead is yourself. So the other part, how can you lead yourself first to be there on time, getting it done, making everything work, and then you lead the people on your team? Because you know this, Mike, everybody doesn't have the same level of leadership, but everyone has leadership. And influence is leadership, leadership is influence. So you have to lead well. To me, I'm going to have to give you 2 extra on this one.
Oh, no.
Decide what you want in the beginning. It's almost like this. You have to decide you want to go to New York before you just jump in the car and start driving. So what is that goal that you're working towards? Make that decision and go in that decision. And everybody can't be on your team. You have to make a decision on who are the right people on your team. If you take the time to decide to put the right people on your team, then that team will be successful. If you get the wrong apple, the bad apple on that team, you got to have the courage to remove that person from that team. They may be a good person. They may be a good person in the sight of God, but they may not be the right person for your team. So you have to make that decision. And that's what I feel will get you towards having great teamwork and to a team that works.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. I love it. Thank you so much. So what is the best way that people can reach out and connect with you, Lefford?
Well, the best way to reach me is get me on the World Wide Web, leffordfaith.com. I say again, leffordfaith.com. Go to my website, and you'll hear all the cool things that I'm doing as far as what we're doing for Napoleon Hill Foundation, John Maxwell. You'll see it all. That's the best way to reach out to me.
Wonderful. Lefford, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you.
You've been listening to the It's Your Fate podcast. To connect with me and pick up a copy of one of my books, please visit www.leffordfaith.com. That's leffordfaith.com. You've met your fate. Now let's walk into your destiny.